The S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100 today. We have a very quick, short, sweet video, and we're going to get right into it. First of all, I want to say Happy New Year, Merry Christmas. We have a little bit more time, and I'll see you before then, but I just want to give you a special thanks to all the subscribers before we even dive into this whatsoever. We're almost at the 43K marker. It's been an awesome year. We've done a great pivot on the channel, and most of all, we built a really solid community. So I definitely appreciate all you've done, and just continue to be great subscribers, asking the good questions and learning along the way. Again, I'm trying to make more and more content absolutely free for y'all, specifically on Twitter. I post a lot of my trades, what I'm thinking, what I'm doing there, so you always can be and stay prepared. But let's get to the video. Now, first thing I want to talk about is Nasdaq, and I want to talk about yesterday. So basically, I said yesterday, you got all these gap fills, you have basically, you're moving up with minimal volume, which that's the bad thing. But I want to say, if you get any type of good news, you could see any type of you should see a bounce with any type of good news. I believe that you've seen just overall exhaustion in volume, right? I think there's been no buyers. I haven't seen a buyer show up to the market specifically with volume in some time, and that's where I think we're at right now. Looking at the 4-hour chart, that's the best level to see the overall demand and supply levels that we're looking at here. Your clear demand right down here, around 11.9 to 11.8. Your supply, very clear, up here around 405 roughly. You could argue right now that your supply is about right here in the 4-hour time frame because you did form a new supply right here. I do want to say that, but this 11.4, 11.44 is a very big level we've kind of covered for an extensive amount of time. So I think it's a very big level also. So I want to start with that. Now, going a touch deeper, a touch into where we're at and what I expect in next week. Now, I'm not going to go over stocks I'm liking, but I'll tell you right now before we go any further, I did grab more Microsoft puts. Okay, I'm going to tell you that right now. Even though you broke above this, I still love the trade. Maybe I'm getting too aggressive. I don't know. But right now, you still didn't end the day at a high, but you kind of been rejecting here in a little ascending type triangle. But it's not really going with the trend. So I'm just so bearish on Microsoft. And to keep telling y'all, I still think that gap is going to end up trying to fill towards the downside. Great, for instance, to something like NVIDIA. Look what's happening there. We loved NVIDIA to the downside. It's taking place. Apple, more and more things, coming to fruition. I'm always trying to find the next big play for you guys. But that's that. So going into NASDAQ, this is where we're at. We're kind of in this range of 11.9 to 11.4. That's where we're trading right now. Going a little bit even deeper, going into ES and looking at S&P futures, you can see here. Now I want to highlight on S&P futures, we did not come into our demand. I definitely think we're going to test this level. I am kind of losing it on the fact that we haven't, maybe because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist with what's happening here, and I want it to look, as good as possible. But right now, I'm shocked that we did not get that test. But again, I do want to highlight, we're making these like lower highs, and we're making new, supply zones at lower levels. So this is what we're looking at, right? You're still just doing the same thing over and over and over. So you're still clearly in this downtrend. So I don't want anyone to think anything else. This is futures, by the way. I'm going to go into SPY and Qs in a sec, but that's what I want to start with right now. Now, going into why we bounced today, what is happening? Now, first of all, your PCE, like we talked about yesterday, was not good. You actually rose. That's incredibly bearish. So coming into the beginning of the year, if the Fed talks about PCE rising, this is personal income, be a PCE 5.5. I think the expectation was from quarter. You did drop, I believe, month over month, but it was above. They just got rid of they just dropped the forecast. They were like, yeah, we don't need to show that. I mean, that's crazy. But that was that. That was kind of like you started to go up a little bit. Now, deeper into this, where we got more information, we go back into PCE here. They're just getting rid of all the forecasts. This is crazy. I've never seen that before. But as we jump into this, you go down a little bit deeper. Michigan sentiment, that wasn't super bullish. But this is what drove you today, in my opinion, for the upside. And this is what I think we have to be watching for. And this could push a dovish tone or a bullish tone from the Fed. Was new home sales. They were up 5.8%. Whereas you were forecast to be down negative 4.7%. That's a big shock, people. Now, month over month, you're still down from 8% to 5%. But I want to say that's a big shock. That's good news for the economy. That's something that you wanted to see. And in my opinion, it's just shocking, right? Now, what I will say is going forward, when you're buying these homes at extremely high rates, you're overpaying, and I don't think it's manageable for most people in the U.S. economy. Okay, I'm going to tell you that right now. Now, me personally, I'm looking to buy a home, and giving you a food for thought. I'm looking to buy a home right now, but unless I get a great deal, it just doesn't make sense for me. Because even though home prices are theoretically dropping, which are not getting, hit catastrophically across the board, they are going down. It's worth thinking and worth mentioning that you're able to buy a house 2 years ago, maybe at an inflated price of, let's say, $450,000, and that same house may be $300,000 right now. However, you're still paying more money on the house because your interest rate is much higher. Okay. And I know that might go over some people's head because they don't know how the mortgage market works. They don't know how this and that. And again, I'm not trying to go into a real estate education here, but the broad viewpoint of the market is I don't really think that was good news, kind of surprising news to say the least, but we'll see kind of what goes forward. But I think the Fed could turn that as to saying the market's very strong. Real estate had a big surprise, right? I just want to make sure everyone understands that and knows that. So going into next week, I still want to highlight, you're in the downtrend. I still expect you to stay in the downtrend. I don't see anything crazy. Upside test, maybe 3,900, possible, okay, on ES. NQ, possible to 11.35, 11.4. I don't see it. I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. But I have to just say that that's your next supply, so you have to understand. This is a 4-hour chart, so it's pretty respectable. Going into SPY, and I'm going to go into VIX and DXY in a second. SPY. I'm seeing a lot of people talk about these demands, and I don't like to run other people down. And I don't ever want to see them that way. But what I hate more than anything is misleading people, specifically when it comes to trading or anything to do with money. So I never want people to feel like they're being misled here specifically. So if I say something wrong, that's why I'll just say, hey, I was wrong. I lied. I just was uneducated on what I said. I'll be straight up with you guys. But I'm seeing people mark demands that aren't demands. They're marking supply. They act like they know what they're doing, but they're not showing why. And that should be a really big red flag. So on SPY, people are like, well, so far you're in this demand right here. I'm like, this is crazy. That's like a $10 demand. Like, what are we doing here, right? No, it's not your demand zone. So your demand zone's down here, and you did not come into it. Now, you might think, well, Tyler, it'd make more sense if you bounced in this range up here. Now, food for thought, I do want to highlight. If ES futures did not come into your demand, it makes sense that SPY would not hit there either, and that you bounce based off the Nasdaq and tech in general, right? Just want to highlight that, say that really quick. Now, my opinion, you're getting a premature bounce here. I still think there's downside, okay? NQ probably coming right back down into this demand. This is my overall viewpoint, what I see happening. And based on with the volume that we had today, like giving you food for thought, Yahoo Finance really quick, showing you volume. Today was one of the bullish, quote unquote, bullish days. Look at your volume, people. It's pathetic. It's grotesque. It's terrible. 52 million. Granted, there is a holiday. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt there. Yesterday, you had some decent volume. You did pump up. Remember I said yesterday you're probably going to get back above where your volume level was. Well, guess what? It happened. Now, if we look at yesterday, though, what really, took place here? And then going into yesterday, it's really important that we really look is we had this nasty drop where we got about half of our daily volume. Then we started bouncing from demand. And this is where buyers finally showed up. And I'm going to say this on repeat. This is the only time in the past week and a half, 2 weeks that I've seen buyers step up. Aggressively, at least. And so it makes sense happening at our demand, right? And then you started bouncing back up at the end of the day with decent volume. Awesome. Great. Cool. Super. So that's what we're looking at right now. Unless we get some aggressive buying, which I just don't see happening unless we get some sort of news or some sort of catalyst, I don't see an aggressive bounce coming on NQ. That's my personal opinion. On a broad, longer view chart, 4 hour to 1 day to weekly, you're making lower highs, okay? Continuous. Lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. Okay? You're making lower lows. Lower low, lower low, lower low, lower low. This is going all the way back to basically the beginning of December. Okay? Want to highlight that. Double top here on Nasdaq. Pushing down. Right? So this is everything we're looking at. Just pointing the facts out. I'm not trying to give a bias. Not trying to do anything. I do have a short position on Microsoft, so you can consider me maybe biased. But right now, that's my viewpoint here. Going into VIX, what are we looking at? When we look at VIX, and actually before we get into VIX, I want to go over Bookmap really quick. I have a lot of questions here about this. People have specifically been asking. On futures, I don't want to focus really on anything down here. I don't think we weren't getting, the blue line represents dark pool orders. We weren't getting any big orders. It was minimal. CVD, not too important in my opinion here either. What I will highlight is you had a sell wall this morning around 38.80, and you never even got tested. You saw more and more sellers step in there to hold that level, but you never even got that test there, right? So you do have this kind of ascending triangle. You got a little bit of buying pressure at those lows down here, 38.25, and you bounced up. Okay, so there was no really big increase of volume. This is basically just level 2 data, just visualized for you. This is Bookmap. Link is down below if you're interested. But that's what we're looking at here. So I want to highlight that seller just basically got larger and larger throughout the day, which in my opinion was telling me that they weren't going to let this get above that range. And buyers couldn't even test it, which is just shows more weakness in my opinion. This is what I'm looking at. Again, try not to be biased, but give you a viewpoint of everything. A little bit deeper, let's talk about VIX. I really like to talk about this specifically also. When we take a look at VIX, what's been happening? I've been highlighting key levels of where you've been. Okay, VIX, you're coming back down to that area, the $19, $20. You bounced again yesterday, and then you're coming back into it basically end of the day today. Okay, just want to highlight, I still believe we haven't had really any big influx of volatility or anything on VIX shoot us up crazy. I definitely think we're working our way there. I liked the fact, if I'm going for a short position right now, that we have not shot up yet personally. This is my opinion. This is what I want to see. I like us consolidating here at these lows, getting ready to really push us up personally. This is, again, just what I'm viewing. Next, the dollar. The dollar just sitting in this support we mentioned yesterday. Again, I'm not putting too much faith in the dollar right now. I've gone over exactly why. Once it broke below 109, it was less relevant. But what I will say is that you're holding this major support. And if you remember, what did I say? I was like, all these levels in here, I don't really care too much about. Once you get down to 103 and then possibly 101.5, those are levels I care about. So right now, if we start to get a bounce here with the DXY, I think it could definitely help us out to the downside, but I'm not putting too much faith here. Last but not least, I want to talk about the yields, the 10-year over the 30. It's the most important inversion that there is, in my opinion. And I want to highlight, again, consolidation. You got a little bit of downside, but what did I say here also? When you consolidate like this, it leads to volatility. What does that mean? Typically, you're going to get a spike or influx of volume coming into the 10 and 30-year, primarily into the 10-year that we've seen roughly over the past few weeks measuring this. So this inversion has been one of the best charts to look at when you're looking at an inflation period or a recession period, okay? Go back, 2018, dangerous. We had a nationally drop in 2018. Go back to the housing bubble in 2008. Go back to dot-com bubble, right? So it's been very reliable. So we have to keep this on our radar. It's been a lagging indicator also. So it's been a great indicator to know when to time the market. So it's something very important that I'll be watching. But we will know if it breaks this higher low trend, we'll have a little bit of concern. But for right now, this is what I'm watching. And it's still intact. And it's been a great indicator overall. That's going to wrap the video up. If you have any questions, comment down below. I'll see you guys probably on Monday or Tuesday. Have a good Christmas. Have a good one, traders.